Hey guys, it's Amber from the creative team, and I am sharing 2 ways to heat emboss with your cover dies today. Our theme this month is repeating patterns, so I thought the Radial Hearts cover die from Altenew would be perfect. Before I do any direct ink to paper techniques, I like to refresh my ink pad. So I have the Wow Embossing Ink Pad Refill, Conditioner, and Freestyle tool here. And this has a roller ball on the end of it. And so I'm just going to roll it all over the ink pad. And I do lines going across, up and down. I do some swirls. I just really want to get it nice and juicy so that I have enough ink on the ink pad to where I'm not struggling to get the embossing powders to stick. You know what I mean? So that was my die cut, and I just have a white die cut there. So here I'm just going to do kind of like a swirl in the center here because this pattern is going to radiate out from kind of like the top center of this card. I have Taffeta Pink here, which, as you know, if you watch my videos, is one of my favorite, all-time favorites, if not favorite, Wow embossing powder. I think that the mix of embossing powder to glitter is perfect in this mixture, and that pink is just so pretty. I went ahead and heat embossed it off screen because you couldn't really see the color change, and I'll show you the heat embossing and melting of the other powders, which you can see more clearly. So I'm just taking the ink pad directly to the paper again and going around that circle. This time I'm using Sugar Almond, which is another beautiful color. This would be a really nice card for spring, I don't know, baby showers, any kind of those things with the pastels. These are more of pastel colors, which I don't use a lot, but I really do love these two colors. So you can see I kind of have like a square in the center there. So I'm just going to rough up the edges of the sugared almond so that I get more of a circle going on here. And it's okay if they overlap. You want them to overlap. And I wish I had left just a little bit more of the sugar almond on there. Rather than dump that powder back into my excess that was in the coffee filter, I dumped it off into the trash can because it already had some embossing ink in it. So I'm going to go ahead and start heating from the back. You can see as it starts to melt, then I'll come around to the front. And with your glitter powders, you'll know that it's melting because not only is there a color change, but you'll also see the glitter start to sparkle and twinkle. And that's how you know it's nice and melted. Here I'm just going to use the cover die, which is cut from Neenah Classic Crest Solar White in 80 pound, just to kind of check my pattern here, make sure that things are looking good. I do like to brush off any excess with the Nuvo surface sweep in between because I don't want to get excess glitter onto my ink pad. I want to keep that as clean as possible. Here I have a mixture of Glassy Ocean and the Glisten Changers. So I mixed this in a previous video that you guys have probably already seen. If I remember, I'll link it in the top right corner up there so that you can watch that. But it's basically Glassy Ocean and the Glisten Changers. Glassy Ocean is one of my favorite, oh, I love it. It's one of my favorite colors, but I wanted it to have some glitter. So I just added that changer and it was perfect. It goes with these other two powders perfectly. So I'll finish melting that and then I'll go ahead and adhere the cover die. So for the cover die, I just use art glitter glue with a precision tip. I'll go ahead and glue that on, and then I'll put a couple blocks on the top of it to get that adhered. And that'll just take a few seconds. I added a sentiment from Simon Says Stamp Just Because Word Mix 2 Stamp and Die Bundle. And you can see I added a little bit of that teal color to the very center of the card panel, but the sentiment ends up covering it up completely so you can't see it. So here's Glassy Ocean with the Changers Glisten. And here's the finished card. I love how the sugared almond and the teal mix together, and I think it's just a pretty color blend. I'm going to ink up another panel with the direct ink to paper technique again, and this time I'm going to cover the entire panel. And so I've added a piece of Post-it tape underneath this panel to have a handle. The only reason I chose that is because that's what was sitting on my desk. It was left over from another project. But for your handle, what I would recommend is a scrap piece of cardstock because it's going to be more stiff and easier to hold. What I'm sprinkling on is Hot Gossip Glitter Embossing Powder. Super bright and bold, you guys. Way different than the first card with the pastels. Now we're going more bold. And I'm covering the whole panel. The reason I'm covering the whole panel is because I want to die cut that cover plate from this. And I was thinking that instead of using the white die cut like in the first card, I would use this Hot Gossip one. So this time, because it was a little harder to hold my cardstock, I actually started heating this from the front and everything stuck on really well. I went ahead and ran this through my Gemini Junior with the cover plate on, and I'm just using the craft pick just to get it kind of started. Now, I was thinking I was going to use this piece on my card. Ultimately, I ended up using that just as a template to inset these hearts. Had I known that, I would not have taken them out of the die. I would have left everything in place in the die, added glue to the hearts that I wanted to use on the back, and then just set that over my card panel. But, you know, I didn't know. So we're kind of doing it the long way here. So I'm going to go ahead and inset a bunch of these hearts into this. So I'll peel this up to see how things are looking, and then I'll go ahead and set it back in place and add more hearts. Here's the finished pattern, and look at how gorgeous this embossing powder is. I love the gold glitter in this. It shines so beautifully. So that's Hot Gossip. And then for the sentiment, I used 2 leftover sentiments from the Simon Says stamp just because Word Mix 2 stamp and die bundle that I had cut for the previous card. And here's the sets together. I hope that you guys enjoyed these projects today and will give them a try. Be sure to enter your projects into our Facebook fan page monthly challenge. This month is all about repeating patterns. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, liking, and ringing that bell so you don't miss any new inspiration. Here's a couple more videos for you before you leave, and I'll see you real soon.